Hi guys, it's Misha and welcome back to my channel. I am back here with Brendan. We're in the car and we had some time to process our recent trip to San Francisco, and we have both decided this is the worst city that we have ever been to. We knew that homelessness was a problem, we knew that crime was a problem, but I think it's one thing to see it on the news, it's another thing to walk the streets and actually experience it for yourself. And we just have a lot of thoughts. We were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so beautiful, this historic city, you know. And we were coming from the airport and there's like encampments. It's not one tent, it's not one homeless person. It's a bunch of these tents, it's open drug use. There is human feces in the middle of the street that we have to step over. People are urinating in public. There are needles everywhere. And people are on some hard drugs, right? Like it's meth, it's heroin. And it's very sad. It's very sad to see it because I know that it's changed a lot.
I think it's quite funny how San Francisco, you know, prides themselves in being so progressive and forward-looking. But when you look in the city, what is progressive in the city?
No.
Is having people homeless on the streets and not addressing it adequately progressive? I don't think so.
No, there's nothing progressive with how they're handling this. And it's very dystopian. It's very strange to see like a row of pride flags, right? Like just pride this, pride, and the progressive one too. And then when you walk, you have all these trans whatever flags, and right below it you have all of these homeless people and all of these encampments. And it's like, where is the attention going? And then you brag about being so progressive and caring when this is the compassionate thing to do, is to allow these people to die from a drug overdose. We saw a mural of Greta Thunberg. We saw people masked like on the street alone.
The smash and grabs. On 2 occasions we witnessed people breaking into cars, and we also saw multiple signs suggesting that you take all belongings out of your car, put them in your trunk, take valuables with you. And it wasn't just in the less affluent areas, it was also in the very affluent areas as well. We were up next to the mountains, next to these $3 million houses, signs, remove all valuables. It's in every single part of San Francisco. So this is a problem that's sweeping the entire city. Not
even like in the main part of the city too. Remember in when we went hiking near the bridge, we saw the same sign, and we saw homeless people like in the mountain area. I saw this, you were driving. Some guy was walking when I forgot where we were going, but he had blood all over his face. Obviously an attack just happened. He got attacked. There was like a homeless, encampment there. It's bad, and there's not one cop in sight, like at all. Did you see any cops? We didn't see any cops. I just realized we didn't see any.
And no cops.
No, we saw needles on the floor and urine everywhere. It smells horrible. Everywhere. It's not just like one bad street, right? Or like one bad area.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's even on the main street, which I believe is called Market Street. That's one of the busy areas where everyone goes shopping.
It's also like a ghost town. There are no people. All the businesses are leaving.
Yeah. I believe they're saying 30 to 35% of office spaces are now vacant in San Francisco. And that just speaks to the fact of how frightened these businesses are by looting, theft, and robbery of their stores, and just the general unsafety of San Francisco. They're leaving. There's no other option for them. This is the job of the city government, to keep people safe and to keep businesses operating, and they're failing at it. They're completely failing.
That number 30 reminds me of the fact that 30% of all the homeless people in the US live in California. And so, it begs the question, like, what London Breed is doing about this problem, because you have kids. Like, we didn't see a lot of kids. There's just hardly any people at all on the streets except the homeless people. But when you do see kids, it's like what they have to go through, like to get to school or
it's
their
horrible.
house.
It's so unsafe. How can you ask that of a family?
It's very sad because we both saw younger people too who are doing hard drugs. They're not, some of them were like 20 our age that were just looking like zombies, like hunched over. Some were naked. And it's not just a drug problem. There's sexual abuse going on in these encampments, prostitution, all sorts of abuse.
This is all out in the open for families to see, for me to see.
Like, why would you want to live there?
It's very unsafe. And it truly begs the question, what is the government of San Francisco doing? How are they addressing the problem? In my belief, I don't think they're adequately addressing the problem.
Not at all.
To address the problem, you don't enable people to keep doing drugs. You support them and you get them help. You get them through rehabilitation. You do not provide
mandatory rehab, mandatory drug rehab.
Get them off the streets and support them through rehabilitation process. That does not look like, in my opinion, providing them with the tools to keep getting high and feeding addictions.
Yeah. It's so easy for them to do drugs now. They have the, what are they called?
Injection sites.
Injection sites, where they provide them with clean needles where they can do their drugs, drug of choice, right? They have many to choose from. There's even such a thing called drug tourism, where the other homeless people from neighboring cities, they come to San Francisco because they know how easy it is to get drugs there. To do drugs, the police can't do anything. They
come there because they know they will not be prosecuted for open drug use.
And what was London Breed saying? She was saying, we need to defund all the police, right? Defund the police. And now she's saying, oh my God, help us. We're short-staffed. No cop wants to work. Well, obviously, they're not appreciated. They can't do anything about the problem. They're not even allowed to move the junk that the homeless people throw on the streets because that's their property, right? So they can do whatever they want. They can publicly defecate and urinate on the streets. That's fine.
The mayor and the city of San Francisco has really put itself in a very tricky situation. They've essentially dug themselves a hole. Right now, they're currently running at an $800 million deficit for their budget. No one wants to go there because of the rampant drug use. No one wants to go there because there's only tents, excuse me for my language, crap and piss on the street.
No, it's true, guys.
So now they have no tourism. They have no more money coming in. So now even if Mayor London Breed wants to hire more police officers, she's going to have a lot of trouble doing it. She simply does not have adequate funding for it.
All the businesses are leaving too. So there's the Westfield Mall, right? Some Whole Foods left too. We were at Target, and what do we see? We saw a bunch of homeless people that go there. One of them was asking or just wanted to steal something. Do you remember that? And then the guy was like, oh yeah, you pay for one and I let you get away with the other one. So basically letting him steal from the Target. There was another homeless guy in line when we were waiting to pay for the stuff, and he was like, what did he say? Oh, the guy was like, yeah, 2 is open, right? And he's like, I don't want 2. So he started screaming at the guy because he wanted to do the self-checkout because he wanted to steal. And what did he do? He stole. Do you remember the cosmic cockroach woman?
We walked into Target. The first thing we see is this woman who approaches us, and she says directly to my face, you look like a cosmic cockroach. Cosmic cockroach, what are you doing here? Well, I'm shopping at Target. I don't know what you are doing, but I am shopping, okay?
Yeah.
And something we as a community, or at least the local community in San Francisco, really needs to address is the dynamic and the relationship between the cops and the community. I think right now a lot of the mindset, at least in youth society, is to really just shit on the cops and shit on any form of policing and governance. But I think what we really need to understand is that there needs to be a certain set of laws and principles that are in place because they protect people. They protect you as an individual to even criticize the government, right?
Do you remember that video we saw? We were laughing at it at first where it's like, next time, what does he say? The crackhead video.
He said, next time you find yourself in trouble, call a crackhead.
But there's like truth to that.
There
because it's like, what are you going to do when these things happen, when people are getting attacked on the street? When you're talking about defunding the police, and meanwhile we need police now more than ever. And what did we see on the street? Do you remember that?
What?
On the ATM machine?
Carved in the ATM machine read the following: Pop a cop.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah, I'll put a photo. That was on the way when we parked the car getting to the hotel. And it's not just that. There's tons of graffiti everywhere. I don't know what's happening with the infrastructure. It's horrible. Everything's, falling apart. Like I said, graffiti everywhere. It's dirty. There's trash on the street everywhere. And like when we were in the city together in New York City, I don't think it was this bad at all.
This bad
at all. Eric Adams, for example, what he was trying to do in New York City, a complete failure. People actually said they would rather be on the street. They felt safer on the street, the homeless people, when you look at these interviews, because of all the rats, all the roaches. It was just a disaster. Or here, it's asking people to open up a free room if they have, and let the homeless people in, basically, which could end very poorly. No matter where we went, it's a ghost town.
It's a ghost town. I would say at times it felt like there was a majority of
Homeless people.
Homeless people.
Yeah. And I know that this is a problem in a lot of major cities like Seattle, Portland, Chicago. But what we saw in San Francisco was definitely by far the worst that I've seen, right? For sure. In terms of vandalism too. And all of the stores too were boarded up.
Boarded. When we went into Ross, we had to wait in a line
going outside. That, by the way, still had homeless people like right by when we were, trying to get in.
Else that's important to point out is that I don't think this is just an issue of high rent or an issue of job security. I think it's moreover an issue of mental health and mental well-being.
Yeah.
Before even looking at those two criterias of job security and housing security, I think you have to be in the right state of mind and the right physical health.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we need to focus on first.
Because that's what Breed says all the time, that it's a high rent issue.
It's not just a high rent issue.
Have you seen these people? Like, they have serious mental health problems. It's very sad and very scary to see. It's also very naive to think that the people will accept the help if they're offered it, right? Instead of making like rehab mandatory or making them get help in terms of psychiatric medicine or something, or going to prison if you're going to continue doing drugs out in the open. Instead, we're thinking, oh, they're just going to do the right thing if we give them, this safe injection site, for example, what's happening in the city. No, a lot of people end up either going missing, which is what happened. It was over 70% of these people ended up back on the street within a week, or they just go back to doing drugs and, committing crime. Let people know that there will be consequences for their actions. And just to allow people to do drugs out in the open is not the compassionate thing to do. And the cops aren't allowed to do anything about it, which is insanity. It's complete lawlessness at this point.
It's anarchy.
The city paid money to set up the parking lots where the homeless people can sleep in their cars. So that's fine. Not only is that legal, but we're going to spend money on that instead of putting that money into this mandatory, rehab, basically, that these people desperately need, or getting them psychiatric medication because it's really not. She makes it seem like it's a case of, oh, the rent is just too high, right? Or, oh, this poor person, he lost his job. And yes, of course, there are people like that, but not just from experience. If you talk to anybody who's lived in the city, it's like 90-something% people who are having a serious, drug addiction or severe mental illness or both. Right? And this is just from a tourist. And, Brendan has only been to San Francisco one time before, right? And I can't imagine what that's like for someone who's lived there their entire life, right? And then watches the city deteriorate in this way. And with these injection sites, what kind of message is that sending to people? You can come here, you can do whatever drugs you want, there are no consequences for your actions. And yes, they say there are the outreach teams, right? Did we see anybody?
We did not see a single person doing any outreach there.
A soul on the street. Nobody is helping these people. It's just, come here, do drugs. The children walk past them and see that there are no consequences, which obviously will lead to other sorts of crimes, violent crimes. And we did get a break when we went to Yosemite, though. We did. And just going out, because, California is a beautiful state, especially with the nature. And like you said, even in San Francisco.
Even in San Francisco, we were able to get away a bit, but only when we went to go see the nature side of the city.
Near the bridge. It was beautiful.
We just had to cut our trip short because we had to come back to our hotel, which was in the city every night, and it was just so dangerous. We had to park our car 10 minutes away because that's the only street parking available, and we had to make our way through a wasteland essentially, and it's just completely unsafe, and it's scary, it's frightening, and we just had to cut our trip short because of that. And I think this is what's happening with most people. They come to San Francisco City, they see what's going on, and then they leave immediately, and guess what? They don't return. And that's all for today's video, guys. Please make sure you comment below if you've ever been to San Francisco and what you thought if you visited. Also, make sure you are subscribed and have hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye. Bye, guys.